Hello, and thanks so much for tuning in to Clear into Balance. My name is Jamie, and on this channel, I remind you that you are a powerful spirit having this human experience, and therefore you have the potential to create or change anything that you want. Today, I want to talk about physical symptoms and ailments and how, in my experience, nothing has gone back to the cause that I would have expected it to, given my background in a degree in biology as my undergrad, going back to school, getting associates for registered nursing, and being a registered nurse in the hospital for almost 5.5 years. Nothing is as it seems in this reality. And, after 6+ years of taking courses in holographic kinetics and having so many sessions done for myself and doing sessions for others, I'm only just scratching the surface of realizing what that actually means when we say that nothing in this reality is as it seems. So as I've been taught by my teacher, Steve Richards, who is the founder of Holographic Kinetics, check out his website, holographickinetics.com, for more info, or if you want to go have a session or take one of his courses, highly recommend all of that. He is obviously the founder and teacher of this. I am a student, okay? I'm not a teacher of this modality. I don't claim to know everything. I'm really here just to share my own experience to help you out there who might be looking for answers. Maybe you're asking questions and wondering, like, there's got to be something else for me. There's got to be something that gets to the root cause of issues, which is what I was asking myself years ago, right before I found holographic kinetics. So it makes sense that you're here if that's what you're doing. And I will just speak about my own experience. I'm not trying to teach holographic kinetics. I'm not trying to say that I'm some expert, So contact Steve always. He's the top person to talk to with this. And from there, I'll just say, he's taught that the Aboriginal people have long known that we need to heal at the spirit. And not all spiritual healing is the same, okay? After becoming a nurse and working as a nurse in the hospital and just getting so burnt out from being understaffed and just having workloads that were really, I think, unsafe for my own personal health because people were really sick. They had a lot going on. And then I would have like 6 of them at a time that I was taking care of. And it was just too much for any one person to be really assisting in a meaningful way. It just felt like I couldn't be the kind of nurse that I wanted to be. After that, I ended up going and doing Reiki energy healing, and didn't take me too long to get annoyed with that. I just got sick of handing out Band-Aids to mask symptoms, and that's what I found nursing to be doing, and that's what I found Reiki to be doing. People were always coming back. If you're always having to go back and be treated for the same issue over and over again, whatever you're doing is not cutting it, okay? I'll say that again. If you're having to go back all the time to get the same issue treated, if you're having to refill prescriptions all the time, if you're constantly having to get energy again, if you're constantly having to go back for another round of hypnosis, if you're constantly going and talking about your problems and you're not getting anywhere, what you're doing is not working. You need to find another path. So with that said, all spiritual healing is not the same. When I talk about healing at spirit level, I'm specifically talking about holographic kinetics because this is the most powerful modality I know. It's the most unique modality I know that allows me to tap into the knowledge of my own spirit. It's not somebody else who's intuitive telling me what my problems are and where they came from. It's literally my own spirit coming up and speaking during my session, telling me exactly where the issues were caused and the beliefs I locked in, the thoughts I locked in, the emotions that I locked in those dimensions. So before I found holographic kinetics, I felt like I was doing a lot of healing, and I was becoming very conscious of my thoughts. I was becoming conscious that our thoughts create our reality. I got guided to start practicing meditation, which was really helpful for me because my brain was always just so fast and constantly worrying with like all these thoughts. It was just like they were just whipping and whirring around my head all the time. And meditation helped me snap out of that so that I could just be more clear in my being. But it wasn't until I found holographic kinetics that I actually started seeing real shifts in my physical circumstances and in my life. Because being aware of our issues, being aware of the kinds of thoughts that we're having is only part of it. It's only part of it. And if what you're doing, like I said, is some form of spiritual healing and you think you're getting to the root cause, but you're still struggling with something, you're not getting to the root cause. That's your sign. You're not getting to the root cause. If you're still struggling, you're not getting to the root cause of your problems. And so anyway, we're so locked into this physical reality, right? We just like view ourselves as this physical body. In fact, it took me working with a life coach from India at one point and her recommending a book to me that started talking about how we are a spirit having this human experience for me to even be introduced to that topic to begin with. And I think because of the training I had in science, that like, for me, it was just like, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist sort of thing, that I had to read probably about 30 books by different people, sort of with the same end result of saying that we are spirits having this human experience, to even be able to wrap my head around it, because my science training kind of like blocked my way of viewing the world in that way. And yeah, it made it really hard to get through. So, you know, when we just start to become aware of these things, like, that's only part of it. If you're just waking up to this reality not being quite what it seems, and you maybe are noticing that the things that we're taught aren't actually true, and that, you know, there are things out beyond what we can see and sense, then that's a good start. That's a good start. So that's not really what I'm mostly wanting to talk about, but that's kind of giving you sort of a basis for this conversation, because nothing is as it seems. And it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of my own sessions and doing sessions for others and learning through Steve and his courses and the interviews that he's done and his videos that he's posted to really wrap my head around what does it actually mean that our reality is nothing as it seems. Essentially, what I'm coming to realize right now is that we literally create everything that we're experiencing. It was set up somewhere, and our spirit knows where all of our issues are coming from. It knows the root cause. It knows where they were created. It knows where they were activated again in this life to get reset up again. And that's the beauty of holographic kinetics, is that it can walk you back. Your spirit walks you back. It's the most empowering modality that I've ever done for people and that I've ever had done for myself, because it fully just taps in to the knowledge and wisdom of the person's spirit, whoever's having the session. It's not about somebody else giving you answers. It's not about them being intuitive and giving you answers. It's not about them trying to cover your symptoms with energy or pills or supplements or any of that. It's about you tapping into your own wisdom as that spirit having this human experience. And in session, you can get to the root cause of issues. So back in the day when I was really just not enjoying the Reiki healing after leaping from being a nurse, because it was all just covering symptoms, people were constantly messaging again to have more. And I was just like, surely there's something that heals at the root cause, that can get to the root cause of issues. And then I was guided in a roundabout way to holographic kinetics, and I've never looked back. And I've used it to clear physical things, physical symptoms. I've used it to clear like mental health type symptoms that I had. I've used it to look at relational patterns in my life. I've used it to look at things like memory issues, weight issues, so many different things. And the root cause of those have never been what we would be taught to think that it would be. For instance, and this is kind of the point of this video, thanks if you're here still, is like, say for my pericarditis, I had inflammation at the outer lining of my heart that caused a bunch of fluid to build up. I got really sick from it at one point. And it took years of having recurrences of that, because really all they had to give me were steroids and other pills to then manage the symptoms from the steroids, to manage the symptoms from the other pills they gave me. That's literally what I dealt with for years before someone, not even a specialist, but a nurse practitioner in my town, who is willing to look outside the box and ask questions and do research, pointed to Lyme disease maybe being the problem. And that's what my doctors could give me in this physical reality, was that my heart problems, my issues were being caused by tick-borne illnesses. Well, once I had a session for those, it didn't go back to that at all. In no dimension that came up was I bitten by a tick. Nothing came up around bacteria, nothing came up around viruses, nothing came up around any of that. It all went back to a past life where I had heart issues, and I was setting it up to just keep repeating that basically through time. Everything we are experiencing, we've created from somewhere. Whether it be in this life, as early as conception, we can start taking on limiting beliefs from things that our mom experiences at conception. And I'm gonna make a whole video about the importance of conscious conception because of this. The spark of the spirit comes in during physical intimacy. It doesn't happen days later, it doesn't happen weeks later. The spark of the spirit is there when you're having that physical intimacy that causes you to get pregnant. And that's very important to realize, because depending on the kind of situation that baby's coming into, we can lock in all kinds of different beliefs and limitations right from the jump. Right from the jump. Everybody views babies as being these like clear beings that come in just with a fresh slate, and that's not true, first off, because we can be carrying things from past lives, and we can also be coming into things that have been passed down our family lines, which now science is recognizing and calling epigenetics. The Aboriginal people have long known about this, okay, that things get passed down the family lines. Holographic kinetics allows you to clear those things, whether it be created in this life, in a past life, or coming down your genetic lines. You're actually able to clear those things. This is huge. This is huge. And if you're here still, look into it. Look into it. This is an important message for you. So that's what I found with pretty much any physical ailment that I've looked at. And I've had a lot of things come up, things that I was already experiencing before finding holographic kinetics. I've cleared a lot of different aspects around food, and had found beliefs locked in that like food was toxic or bad for me. Lots of limiting things were locked in at different times depending on the session, because I've had to look at that in different ways through different symptoms that I was experiencing. And none of it went back to things like the chemicals in the plants, the oxalates. None of it went back to something like that would be like, in this reality, we could point our finger at that. None of it went back even to pesticides and things like that, okay? It went back to things that I had locked in and was carrying through time. I had my back go out last summer out of nowhere. I wasn't doing anything like crazy physically strenuous beforehand. I did have a session scheduled for the next day already. So sometimes my spirit will nudge me to look at something so that I can clear it, because I've set the intention to just get free, and my spirit knows the intentions that I have with what I want in my life. And so it'll sort of guide me and show me of what to clear by sometimes setting me up with physical ailments. So my back went out. I had never had any back issues like that. I'd never had my back go out before, okay? So I had the session the next day, and I put it on the list, of course, because I could like barely walk. I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't go to work. I had to like take date. I might have even taken close to a week off from work with that issue. But I went, I cleared it in session, and then it took time for it to come back and go back to normal and me feel comfortable to just be doing my physically strenuous job again. But so in the meantime of it changing, I went and did like saltwater floats and things like that to just relax my muscles. I rested a lot to relax my muscles. I really took it easy and gave my body time to integrate the changes I made in session and change it. And then I moved on. And that issue was not, it did not go back to a cause of anything I had done to my back, okay? It wasn't from me doing strenuous work. It wasn't from me lifting something or bending the wrong way. Nothing like that. It was something that was being carried with me through time from a past life, okay? And I cleared it, and I haven't had to experience that again. And interestingly enough, I knew somebody, a friend of mine, who had his back go out pretty similar timing to mine, and he still talks about it, and he's still going to physical therapy, and he's still like talking about needing to baby it and how it'll never be the same, and he knows he has to be careful with it now. And I just straight told him, I was like, I cleared mine with Holographic Kinetics, and yeah, I did saltwater floats initially just to relax those muscles so I could like just deal with it because it was really painful, and just I needed to relax those muscles. So I did that. I rested, and then it went away, and I don't experience that anymore, and I don't have fear of experiencing it again. I don't baby myself. I don't baby my back. I don't think that it's going to happen again if I'm not careful. I'm telling you, when we clear these things at spirit, we can clear them. There's potential to clear them. And this isn't giving medical advice. This isn't saying anything, giving you advice for what you do in your own life, you know. But I'm just sharing my own experience of what I've had happen in my life. And, you know, I was having migraines with nausea and vomiting. And I looked at that and cleared that. It had nothing to do with like bright lights or music or a bunch of energy from people at work or, you know, anything like that. It went back to other things. Like, so my point is basically to just say, nothing in this reality is as it seems, which is awesome news, to tell you the truth, because when you realize that, then you stop being so limited by where you're looking for answers to what you're experiencing. When you can open your mind and start realizing that there are things beyond what you've been taught that could help you, and you stop just making food the enemy, or heavy metals the enemy, or other people the enemy, or, you know, your work the enemy, your family the enemy, your ex is the enemy. It opens a whole world to you, and you get your power back. Because only through realizing that we are the creators of all of our experiences can we then change it. And changing it is where all the power lies. We get to choose how we look at things. We get to choose what we believe. We get to choose how we see this world. Are there solutions to what we have going on, or are we blocking those by keeping a very limited way of looking at this reality? Are we so locked into what we can see and feel, taste, touch with our limited five senses? Or are we letting ourselves expand into the spirit that we are, this multidimensional being that we are, who has the answers to everything that we are dealing with? I can't recommend highly enough Holographic Kinetics. And I know maybe that will be annoying, but that's part of why I have this channel, is that I can talk about whatever I feel to talk about, and you can click off if you don't like it. But my intention is that it reaches the right people who need to hear this. And I'm telling you, anything has the potential to be changed. I've seen it in my own life. I don't limit what I eat anymore. I don't live in fear of my back going out. I don't have recurrences of chest pain anymore. I don't have, what else? Migraines anymore. I don't have motion sickness anymore. That was a really important one for me to clear. That went back to a past life. That was interesting. I just have moved on from those things. Nothing is permanent. Nothing has to be permanent unless you start saying it is. And we get what we think and talk about. So if when somebody asks you how you're doing, I really suggest you start looking at the positive in your life and responding from that place versus all your ailments, because the worst thing you can do for yourself is to keep talking about your problems. When we talk and think about our problems all the time, what do we get? More problems to talk about. So I hope this helps you, and if this resonates, please like and subscribe so more people can find this message who need to hear it. I appreciate you so much for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful day.